Welcome back to the Infinite Energy Files. In this video I will be discussing recent and ancient history of the Pokemon world relating to infinite energy, with a focus on religion. In the last video I explained the origins of Team Plasma, what really happened in the Kalos War and the inspiration behind infinite energy. But now let's proceed with part 2 and the religion of the Pokemon world. If you have already seen part 1, you may be asking how? How did the twin heroes get the original dragon? How did AC know that the life force of Pokemon could be used as energy for the ultimate weapon? How did the king revert both dragons into stone? As I mentioned in file 2, if we go to Lysander's labs and take a look to the red files, we can find this. That king was named AC, the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end. Using unthinkable technology for the time, he achieved to unify Kalos for the first time. This may explain the absence of the Alpha and Omega symbols in Team Plasma's logo. After all, Team Plasma was founded by the Harmonia side of the royal family, not AC's. AC created a new kind of technology, which we can speculate from here worked with infinite energy. But it didn't take it from the life force of Pokemon. He used something different, something like a battery. And this battery is an item, rather a kind of item, the shards. The shards are valuable items in the world of Pokemon. These items are described to be part of an ancient tool. In the Sinnoh region, you can find them in the underground, where they are shown to have the same color palette as the life plates, or plates of Arceus. This means that the ancient items mentioned in the back descriptions are the plates. So now we know that the shards are broken parts of the plates. And this is not the first time these plates are mentioned in the theory. As previously stated, 14 plates can be located in the Edelsoul ruins. Memorial for King Harmonia, ancestor of Hoenn and Ghetsis. So the plates that change the type of Arceus, the Pokemon god, are located in the memorial for a king who is related to the leaders of an organization based off the Catholic Church. But why will the plates be here, knowing that AC used infinite energy to unify Kalos, and that the infinite energy is the representation of Azoth, the power of God? We can tell that this kind of energy was obtained from God, Arceus. From all of this and knowing about the plates in Harmonia's memorial, we can speculate that AC and his brother Harmonia used to worship Arceus. Maybe even learning how to use the infinite energy from Arceus itself. This may be the reason why Harmonia told to his family that the ultimate weapon was an artifact for superior beings. And it can also explain the inscriptions in his memorial. If they had contact with Arceus, this could be how they got the original dragon. Fitting for a dragon capable of distinguishing between truth and ideals. If the two kings knew how to use this energy, that means they were basically the same as an alchemist. This is how the dragons were defeated. Using his knowledge of infinite energy, Harmonia stopped both dragons, transmuted them into stone, and saved the Unova region. There is proof of this in the anime. In the Black and White series, Ghetsis uses a transmutation circle to free Reshiram from the light orb. And yes, I know the anime is not canon, but the artistic decisions behind this kind of a scene are always discussed before making them. And can help to understand the inspiration behind some concepts of the games. Not to mention, Ghetsis had in his power the orbs that belong to the creation trio, Dialga, Palkia and Giratina, 3 Pokémon heavily related to Arceus. So, if the plates were used as batteries for the technology AC created, we have to talk about how the plates are known for boosting the attacks of the type each one represents. This expands the idea of infinite energy being the universal life force. By the way, when you find the plates in Gen 4, they show some inscriptions, some of them confirming that the plates are the shards, and that they have the same energy as every Pokémon. We can also mention how, in Platinum, a hiker who has been investigating the Sinnoh legends talks about the origins of the universe, Arceus and a spirit, stating that Arceus may be the physical form of that original spirit. We can see how the relation between Arceus, Azoth and the infinite energy gets even deeper and shows us how the infinite energy is in everything and in everyone. The Arceus plates not only change its typing, they also work as an attack boosting item. But there is another kind of item that can do the same, the Sea Crystals. This opens new questions about the Sea power and makes me think that it is just infinite energy. After all, the UBs gain power from it. And we also have Fallers, people who have been in ultra space and they emanate this kind of energy. This fits with the use Devon and Cosmo tried to give to the infinite energy, opening portals to another universe or another region of the universe. This also explains the presence of the Ether Foundation in Unova. In Pokémon Sun and Moon, while exploring the Ether Paradise, we can find someone who worked in the Unova division, in the same city where the reformed Team Plasma has established. This could explain the connection between Ether, Colress and Plasma. After all, he appears in Alola and gives to the player the Genesect Drives. Genesect is a Pokémon that can change its type depending of the drive it holds, the same as Arceus. This wall first explained how the Ether Foundation got the DNA splicers and, even better, gives a more deeper explanation to Silvally. Ether researched the Sinnoh legends for information to make Silvally. This is mentioned in the lab area of the Ether Paradise, where some files talk about how they were in Canalave City's library. This is why Silvally's ability is Air Keys System, a replication of the ability Arceus has. And the reason why Type Null has a mask shaped similar to the symbol we see in Arceus. Colress worked with Plasma to gather information about Arceus and the plates, and made Genesect in the P2 laboratory with the same idea in mind as Ether when making Silvally. The link between Team Plasma and Arceus doesn't end here. The name Ghetsis comes from G and Cis, the pitches of the timpani used in his battle theme. The combination of G and Cis is a triton, previously referred to as Diabolus in Musica, the devil in the music, in the 18th century. And for someone who comes from a family who used to worship Arceus, and being someone whose name is related to music, it is really fitting to have a battle theme that sounds like God's battle theme. Now, there is something to point out. Even if AC made advanced technology as the ultimate weapon, there is nothing similar to it that can be found from the years after that. Probably because Harmonia hid the weapon and that kind of technology, cause using infinite energy was not allowed to humans. Remember what the files in Lysander's labs said about Harmonia. Before dying, the younger brother of the king revealed to his sons the existence of the ultimate weapon. That artifact shall not be touched by human hands. It is an artifact for superior beings. These lines suggest that this energy was not allowed to humans, almost as if it was sacred. Now, remember what the inscriptions in the Evolsol ruins say. Life is gratitude, eating is receiving life. Good or evil isn't all. Don't be barbaric. One must not waste. All is precious. These lines seem to point that respecting nature was important for the king. Now, they are written on a language we cannot find outside the Evolsol ruins, and this makes me think, how did the different writing systems in the Pokemon universe develop? And what do they tell us about history? Many people think that the Unknown writing system is the oldest one in the Pokemon world, but we know of older writing systems. Both the language that we see in the Sealed Chamber and the one in the Evolsol ruins may be older. The first writing system based off Unknown appears 1500 years ago. We can find this writing system in the ruins of Alph, Tanobi ruins and Solaceon ruins. In-game, we learn that people are unsure of which is older, the Unknown or the writing system, but they obviously share some sort of connection. We also know that Arceus shares a connection to Unknown due to the event that takes place in Hergold and Soul Silver when the player brings Arceus to the ruins of Alph. In this event, Arceus teleports the player to the Sinjo ruins and, after calling a group of Unknown, creates an egg. This confirms that Arceus works with Unknown to create. This may explain the Sinnoh legends that mention Arceus using its 1000 arms. There is a reference to this in the Solaceon ruins. The Unknown text in that place says, "All lives touch other lives to create something anew and alive." Another link between them can be found in the Unknown radio transmission heard in the ruins of Alph, and its similarity to the music used when encountering Arceus in the cancelled Azure Flute event from Gen 4. Also, in the Darkrai movie, when Dialga and Palkia fight, they provoke reality to break, and a bunch of Unknown appear. This may suggest that Unknown helps holding reality together, which could be a reference to the Jewish Kabbalah and the Tree of Life concept, depicting the process the light or power of God goes through to create. The energy passes through different stages called Sephiroth, and the connecting lines show the specific connections of a spiritual flow between the Sephiroth. Those lines are known as the 22 connecting paths, and each one is represented by one of the 22 letters of the Hebrew alphabet. The Kabbalah sees those letters as channels of a spiritual life force. The concept of the tree of life also appears in alchemy, so this makes even more sense. Let's go back to the writing. Why a writing system that looks like a Pokemon that is connected to Arceus appeared 1500 years after the end of a civilization that worshipped Arceus? The answer is in the walls of the ruins of Alph. The lines "we humans need to walk with them," "we live here for the sake of them," and "we humans must learn to walk in harmony with them. We depart from their sakes" have the same connotation as the Evosul ruins inscriptions. Humans have to be respectful to nature. This can be the reason why there is no sign of civilization as advanced as the one AC built. Arceus may have prohibited the use of infinite energy to humans for their actions that led to the sacrifice of hundreds of Pokemon in the Kalos Unova War. If this is the case, it makes sense that the first sign of civilization appeared 1500 years after that in Johto and Sinnoh, regions in which people live in a more rural way, in contact with nature and history. Now, in the ruins of Alph, we can find 4 puzzles. 3 of them show fossil Pokemon. The only one that isn't a fossil Pokemon is the legendary Pokemon Ho-Oh. This will make more sense with the next sections, and you will understand why it is important. What is C-Mobile? C-Mobile was the project to build an energy plant that would generate infinite energy for the new mobile. This means using the life force of Pokemon. The construction of C-Mobile was led by Watson and Captain Stern. Also, Doc and Professor Cosmo's father used to work there. But the whole project was cancelled by Watson, as some documents in C-Mobile say. Devon Secret Investigation Report. The development of new energy turned out to be true. The energy that uses Pokemon bioenergy is called infinite energy. Investigation report on Watson. A series of actions related to the cancellation of the new mobile project turned out to be true. I recommend prompt disciplinary action against him as a traitor to our group. This gives us some insight to what happened. Watson is well known to be an ecologist and Pokemon lover. He probably realized what was the whole project about and shut it down. The idea of C-Mobile came from Devon Corporation. The Stone family knew about the Kalos War, which is a forgotten event even in Kalos. First, this explains why a Spiritomb can be found in this place. Devon probably used its mining industry connections with the Oreburg mine to obtain the odd keystone, and used the 108 souls trapped in it as a source of energy. Then, as other documents make clear, Professor Cosmo's father lost the stone. This led to him being fired. Thanks to the letters little Takao Cosmo sent to his father while this one worked at C-Mobile, and from Cosmo's official age, we can assume that this took place about 30 years before the events of Horas. We also know from Tashinobu Matsumiya of an official timeline. This timeline showcases the Kanto games being contemporaries to the Hoenn games, which is important for the next point of the theory. In C-Mobile we can find the scanner. When we take it to Captain Stern in Slateport City, he gives you, depending of the version, the clear bell or the tidal bell. Not only this, but he gives us some backstory about how he got it. That bell figures in old legends from the Johto region. When I was working on Simmobile, I had a lad working under me who was from those parts, and he gave me that. If I remember rightly, his family passed down some special dance style, but it was only for the girls, so as a lad he came here looking for work. I'll now proceed to explain who this young lad was and why I think he was Bill's father. From what Stern said, we know that this person is linked to Ho-Oh, Lugia and the Kimono Girls, the dancing women he mentions. We can assume that he is part of the Kimono family and from Ecutric City. Bill is from Ecutric City. In Heart Gold and Soul Silver, Pokemaniac Brent, a huge fan of Bill, will call you and talk about him. He will tell you how Bill's mother used to be a kimono girl, and knowing that the dancing they do is a family tradition, we now know that Bill is related to them, probably as a brother to the current kimono girls, those we see in Heart Gold and Soul Silver. All the kimono girls use evolutions, and we know Bill is usually connected to Eevee. He has information about Eevee and its evolutions in Kanto. He gives to the player an Eevee in Johto, and he gave another one to the girl who is on charge of the Pokemon storage system in the Sinnoh region, system Bill invented. Brent also tells you about Bill's little sister. This little girl is probably Valerie, the fairy-type gym leader from Kalos. She is a kimono girl, and all the trainers in her gym are also kimono girls. Her title is the Maiden from a Land with History. This is a reference to Ecutric City's title, a historical city. This is more evident when using the Japanese titles from both Gen 2 and 4. Let's go back to the young man from Simmobile. Again, thanks to Cosmos age, we can assume that he worked there 3 decades before the events of Horas. This makes him a perfect candidate to be Bill's dad or uncle. Stern refers to him as a young lad, so it is a too long period of time to be Bill, but not enough to be his grandfather. So someone from a family which is linked to Ho-Oh and Lugia was in the Simmobile and took one of the bells to the construction. But why and how does this relate to the ruins of Alph and that one painting of Ho-Oh? Why is there no sign of civilization in the 1500 years after the Unova War? I think that maybe Arceus appeared in the ruins of Alph 1500 years ago to give humans a new writing system. In the ruins we can see Ho-Oh in one of the puzzles. Ho-Oh is one of the 2 legendary Pokemon worshipped by Bill's family. But why is Ho-Oh in the ruins of Alph, and what makes it worthy of being worshipped? This fire-flying Pokemon is based on the legend of the Phoenix, especially the Feng One, the immortal Phoenix from China. In-game we learn from an old man in Ecutric City that 150 years ago the brass tower burned to the ground, killing 3 Pokemon inside. Lugia fled to the Weird Islands, while Ho-Oh resurrected the 3 Pokemon as Raikou, Suicune and Entei. And we know from what happened 3000 years ago with Ace's Floette that this is possible thanks to infinite energy. Then Ho-Oh has some kind of control over this energy. But how is Ho-Oh capable of this? Well, the answer is unknown. Ho-Oh is shown in the ruins of Alph, home of Unknown, Pokemon that we know is able to create a life when helping Arceus. They worked with Ho-Oh, giving to it the power of infinite energy, so it will be able to give life to Pokemon. This is supported by 2 elders from Ecutric City. They say to be eyewitnesses of the occasion when Ho-Oh revived those 3 Pokemon. which means those residents are over 150 years old. This is possible if they were reached by Ho-Oh's infinite energy, giving them a longer life. Similar, but on a smaller scale to what happened to AC and his Floette. They gained immortality after being in contact with the power of the ultimate weapon. This explains what Bill's father was doing in Seamobile. He went there as part of the Kimono family, to make sure no one attempted against the life of Pokémon, which is the teaching of the ruins of Alph, respecting the life of Pokémon and nature, and the main theme of the whole Pokémon franchise, the interaction between Pokémon and humans and how this affects nature and the artificial. This is why Bill is the creator of the Pokémon storage system, a system that works with the modern applications of infinite energy. As the rest of his family, he works as a guardian of this energy that corporations as Sylph and Devon are using to produce Pokeballs and other items. The link between Ho-Oh and Unknown is present in one of the creations of the legendary Phoenix, Suicune. One of the sages from Ecutric City in Pokémon Crystal says, "Of the legendary Pokémon, Suicune is said to be the closest to Ho-Oh. I hear they may also be a link to a Pokémon known as Unknown. The Pokémon Unknown must be sharing a cooperative bond with Suicune." This correlation is made more evident in the intro for Pokémon Crystal, where Suicune is showed accompanied by Unknown. I'll leave a link to a very good video talking about this more in detail, but now let's go back to Ho-Oh and its connections to alchemy. Ho-Oh is not only a phoenix but also a peacock. In alchemy, the peacock is linked to the phoenix and immortality. Not only that, but it also represents the transmutation process, also known as magnum opus, which is the process of creating the Philosopher's Stone. The peacock's tail represents the collection and totality of all colors in the white light. The great work is divided in 4 stages, representing the light being composed of all the colors in the rainbow. This is why Ho-Oh's feather is known as the rainbow wing. Understanding this clarifies Ho-Oh's power. And by the way, I will talk more in detail about the magnum opus in part 3. Well, 2 of the 3 ruins showcasing Unknown writing are located in Sinnoh and Johto, regions that are connected. Remember the Sinnoh ruins, where the Arceus event takes place. As revealed by Cynthia and a hiker in the cabin outside the ruins, this place is actually the remains of a temple created hundreds of years ago by 2 groups of humans, one from Sinnoh and another from Johto, or specifically the ruins of Alph. Because of this, the ruins contain elements of both the Spear Pillar and the ruins of Alph, as a sign of the blending of the 2 cultures. It is unknown what brought the 2 clans together to build a temple for Arceus, but this probably has to do with the underlying relationship between Arceus and the Unknown. My hypothesis is that these groups traveled to this place sent by Arceus, who communicated through Unknown. This is why the text in the walls of the ruins of Alph reads, "Thus we shall erect a Pokémon statue outside. Our clan created Pokémon statue outside." This is how both cultures blended and the legends of both regions unified. In the mystery stage, Cynthia tells us about the purpose of this place. The mythical stage built to show respect for Arceus. It is said that people used to celebrate its magnificent might with music and dance. Some people in Johto still pass down this tradition. Here, Cynthia is obviously talking about the Kimono Girls. These 2 cultures influenced each other, which we can see in places such as Celestic Town's shrine and its similarity to Celebi's shrine. The cult of Ho-Oh is influenced by this contact with the cult of Arceus that people from Sinnoh practiced. Also, we have the Draconoids and the Dragon Tamer clan. They are probably related in some form to all of this. After all, both groups are kinda one and the same. Both groups are guardians of their respective region's lore and worship dragon Pokémon. Xenia even mentions how her clan knows about the Kalos War and the visit of AC to the Hoenn region in the past. This particular piece of dialogue is very interesting. Here, Xenia mentions truth and ideals. Draconoids could have learned about this from AC himself, meaning that they could have adopted the Arceus cult from Unova. So all of those different groups of people are linked to infinite energy, which will also explain why we can see an Eevee in the statue from Parfum Palace, and why the kimono girls are specialized in Eevee. After all, the evolution energy is infinite energy, and Eevee is extremely sensitive to it, hence its many evolutions. How does this relate to the mass production of Pokeballs and other items that use infinite energy? Well, the answer is in the town that still follows the teachings of Ho-Oh, respecting nature and Pokemon more than any other town. Azalea Town is a small, isolated town in the Johto region, not too far away from the ruins of Alph. Here lives a man named Kurt, an expert in Pokeball mechanics who makes his own Pokeballs out of apricorns. This process is how Pokeballs were made in ancient times. As Kurt himself says in the manga, his ancestors were the only ones capable of creating Pokeballs. And taking into consideration that modern Pokeballs use infinite energy, we can assume that apricorns work in the same way. This system was more environmental friendly because to make a Pokeball was needed an apricorn, and only Kurt's family knew how to do it, making the production limited. At some point, Kurt may have met the Silphco and Devon Corporation owners and passed to them his knowledge about Pokeball mechanics, and this is how they started mass producing Pokeballs using infinite energy. This chronology is supported by a couple of things. Drayden talks in the Black and White 2 memory link about how Pokeballs didn't exist when he was a child. Also, a picture in Kurt's house shows Kurt with Oak and a woman. This woman may be Agatha from Kanto's Elite Four. In the manga is mentioned how they used to be friends in their youth. This is probably why the Pokemon League system of organization arose. The mass production of Pokeballs made everyone able to capture Pokemon, and there was the danger of shady people making themselves with powerful Pokemon. This is also why the 6 Pokemon limit was created, to regulate how many Pokemon a person could have and prevent chaos. For this reason, many evil teams targeted the Pokeball manufacturing companies, such as Silphco in Kanto, Devon in Hoenn, or the Pokeball factory from Kalos, to control the Pokeball market and the use of infinite energy. So we could say that the Arceus cult from Unova, Kalos and Sinnoh became Ho-Oh's cult with time, but only because this was what Arceus planned. Then the people who learned from Ho-Oh about infinite energy created the Pokeballs. We can also add how the Mount Coronet and Sinjoh ruins themes are similar, connecting Sinnoh and Johto again, one being the place where Arceus started the creation and one being the place where Arceus was worshipped. Also, the Arceus theme has a particular section which sounds exactly like the Azure Flute theme. They also sound similar to Ho-Oh's battle theme Pokémon, which is connected to Arceus by the Sinjo ruins. And this one has another section which sounds like the Relic Castle theme, place that was heated by a blast of infinite energy. Energy which Ho-Oh can manipulate. The Pokémon world has been shaped by the use of infinite energy. The law of Arceus, that is to protect and respect nature, has been broken many times, leading to a dark age that lasted 1500 years. The infinite energy is the power of Arceus, present in everything, and was given to humanity to create technology while living in harmony with Pokémon, but not everyone respected this. This will be the end of part 2. We still have a lot to cover, but all of that will be in part 3, which will be the heaviest section of the theory. In that final chapter, I'll explain the mystery behind the auras, totem Pokémon, Necrozma and its relation to the sea power, and also a lot of alchemy, which will help to understand the concepts behind Lunala, Solgaleo, the Tao Trio, and Ultra Necrozma. It's been a long ride, so I have to say thanks for taking your time to watch this. Good luck and see you soon.